The future rewritten is, if there are no enemies of today, there will be no enemies of tomorrow. The future is now. The past is now. The future is now. The past is now. There is no tomorrow. There is no yesterday. There are no enemies. There's just perceptions and point of views that keep looping like it's on a broken record. And so after today's transmission, and then I'm looking at the tone of my book, and I'm looking at how to read the world around me as far as antibodies and intentions, and experiments and different overcompensation of trying to find that happy medium, that balance, and then the unintentional outcomes that happen. We can all characterize that we're being exploited. We can all characterize there's intention. And maybe, yeah, some people may have the intention to do whatever. There were a lot of people that had the intention to destroy Jilly Juice and destroy the idea of it. And not because they don't like life, it's because they love life. Okay, there are people that want to destroy other people because they think that these people are a threat to their humanity, a threat to their future. And what if we could say that there is nobody out there that's a threat to your future, a threat to life, and a threat to humanity. But it's all about balance. And so when I'm looking at how I'm writing my book, now I have to go back and change the tone. Because 200 years from now, I want the story of the past to be the story of the future. I don't want the past to be something different in the future, because that means that there was an imbalance. We went from one extreme to the other. I want the story of the past to be the story of today, the story of tomorrow. I don't want it to ever end, but I don't want death to be never ending. No, I want life. I want balance to be the future of now, and that's the intention, because it is. And I want balance and life to be the story of tomorrow. I want to write a book that they could actually put in the textbooks as something that to live by, that we went through a period of upset of homeostasis, finding the balance. And yeah, when you're doing the J juice and you're releasing excess parasites and excess bacteria and excess viral proteins, when you're doing the Jilly Juice and you're doing the waterfalls and you're releasing excess fungus like candida, can you imagine the stories they would tell each other on their way out the door? Just put yourself in someone's body that's going through the Jilly Juice and releasing all the excess antibodies, all the excess everything. And I'm itchy, just so you know. So if I'm itchy, I'm sorry. But when you're doing the Jilly Juice and all of your cells are like different people with stories, can you imagine the kind of stories they tell each other on their way out the door? They're like, oh yes, there's this big huge god or big huge architect that's trying to destroy and trying to do this, trying to do that, and oh my god, watch out for these waterfall intentions because they're trying to destroy it, And really your intention with Jilly Juice is to promote balance, because you have too much of an entity. Oh my god, I'm telling you, I'm itchy. It's so insane. I'm itchy, and it's annoying. I'm itching in my underpits and everything. It's like I'm just itchy. But if you watch my other transmissions, it's because I'm going through a recalibration of balance and evolution. But anyway, so just put yourself in your body when you're doing Jilly Juice and imagine the stories that all of your microbiome has. The parasites, the protozoa, the proteins, the fungus, bacteria, the viruses, parasites, protozoa, proteins, fungus, and bacteria. Imagine all of the excess has a story on their way out the door. That's no different than those of you that are not doing jelly juice, and you have an abundance, an overabundance of your microbiome, you know the powers that be out there are trying to recalibrate Earth, and yeah, they're doing some kind of purge. I was looking at the menu of movies on my TV, and one of them is called The Purge, the election year or something. And I'm like, what the fuck? And that was from back in 2016, the first Purge or the second Purge movie. And I'm like, okay, art imitates life, life imitates art. So this book that I'm writing, I'm going to have that book be used somehow as a primer of the past as well as the present as well as the future. Because when you read history books, who are they written by? The history is written by the winners. What happened to the losers? Thanks, Kirsten. What happened to the losers? Okay, the losers died. Well, why are they losers? Because somebody overtook somebody else. Well, why did that happen? Because it was all about strength and all about majority rules, but it was never about balance. It was never about balance. And so, so the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and all the different architects of our system, the J.P. Morgans, all of that, yeah, they've given you a landscape to work from. They've given you the canvas to be able to draw whatever you want to draw. But if you don't have the ability to draw and the ability to think and illustrate of what you want your life to be, then they're going to fill in the blanks for you. Okay? So it's up to each and every one of us to create and figure out what you want the past to be, what you want the present to be, and what you want the future to be. So when John Oakes said, hey, horses have intention and purpose, what is your intention and purpose? It came so easily to me. It was like right there, timely. And I'm like, to rewrite the future. Because right now, the future is now. So what you think, what you feel, what you say, what your perception is of the world is exactly what the future is going to be, unless you change it. So the only way to rewrite the future is to redirect your current thought process today. And so I'm looking at my writing of my book, trying to tell a story, and I'm telling a story that we're being exploited. It's intentional. They're trying to kill us. There's a depopulation agenda. And I'm going to have to really now I'm going to have to rewrite and say, you know what? There is a balance agenda. There's an agenda of balance that, yes, there's going to be collateral damage, unintentional harm to those. Because, yeah, when you're releasing excess parasites out of your system, well, the parasite is not going to have the host anymore. So you're kind of saying, goodbye, excess parasite. I'm not trying to kill you, but I got to survive. Okay? And so that parasite's going to go into the toilet, go down into the drained sewage system. It probably will die on its way down into the sewer. But then, it's just a spirit that'll get reborn again somewhere, somehow. And that's, you're not trying to kill anything, but you're trying to keep yourself alive because you're trying to keep the balance. And so the word balance has to really be part of almost everything that we say and do when it comes to all the different collateral damage. And so, yes, when you're going through your healing process, you're going to feel sick. You're going to see excess parasites and fungus and bacteria and different things come out of your body that was working against you. But it's okay, because the overall agenda is that you want to stay alive and balance out the community, because there's not going to be a world where there's going to be no life lost. Yes, there's going to be a constant balancing act. When you walk down the street, you're going to step on an ant. That's just inevitable. You can't not inadvertently kill something. There's not going to be a world where there's no collateral damage. Yes, when you're walking down the street and you have to get from A to B, and you're hitting branches, or you're walking through a forest, because you're trying to find something, find shelter, you're going to step on a slug. I'm sorry, slug. I thank you for existing, and I'm sorry that you got in my way, type of thing. I mean, we can't live like that where we feel so bad for every single thing that we kill inadvertently. We didn't have the intention to kill, but you have to survive too. When a lion goes after a zebra, he's not feeling pissed off. He's just trying to survive. It's when you are killing for no reason, when you're killing because it's just, but there's always a reason why people kill. There's always a reason. And who are we to say, and it's up to the current laws in our land to say whether or not that kill is a moral kill or it's an ethical kill or whatever. And that's determined by the laws of your land. But you got to understand that everything is about balance. So now I have to think in my head, now I got to rewrite my book with a totally different thought process, that it's not intentional as far as they're just trying to kill you because they have no reason. There's always a reason. You just look in your community. People are doing stupid stuff. They're hurting each other. They're hurting, living things. They're hurting animals. They're hurting children. They're breaking laws. They're stealing from each other. And I'm not saying that everyone should die because they're just doing that, but we have so much imbalance in our society that the powers that be are trying to recalibrate. So how do you do it? You do an upgrade. You upgrade the system because there's so many glitches. And so yes, Bill Gates is a virus, but viruses are not bad. Bill Gates understands viruses. He understands viruses in a computer, and he understands viruses in a system where when you have a virus, which is new data, on a system that is not prepared to take on that data, the device will either upgrade with it, align with it, or it will disintegrate. Okay? So Bill Gates is not a bad thing. All of his people are trying to recalibrate the human population. Now it's up to you to say, are you worthy for the recalibration? Do you have the device to handle the upgrades? It's not up to me to tell you that you need to handle the upgrade. It's up to you to tell you that you just are worthy to be upgraded and that you're willing to do the work, what it takes to upgrade. And there's going to be a lot of shit going on out there. There's going to be a lot of recalibration. No different when you're doing the J juice and you're pooping out all this stuff, explosive diarrhea sometimes, because it'll happen. But it's not a bad diarrhea. It's waterfalls. Okay? And you're not going to get dehydrated because you're drinking water. And even, if you don't drink water, then you'll blow up as far as get swollen because of your anti-diuretic hormone that'll make you retain water, so you won't die from jelly juice. But you need to drink water to lower any blood pressure and to not trigger any dehydration. So yeah, it's going to be a period of chaos during the time of recalibration. And I've always used the jelly juice healing symptoms as an analogy for what's going on right now in the world. But you guys have to see it on all different levels. So even when I say, even now, as I'm looking at my book, even me as healed as I was yesterday, I'm still going through evolutions. Okay? And these evolutions are going to happen faster and faster the more you stay on J-juice. But you have to be aware of where you came from and where you're going and where you want to go. If you're not aware of where you came from, if you're not aware of even having a purpose of where you want to go, then you won't notice any mild changes within your body, mind, and spirit because you're too distracted by other things. So I do these transmissions every single day because that is like shining a light on my thought process. And I'm like, oh my God, so I can hear myself. And then I'm like, wow, I said this yesterday, but man, today I have a total different train of thought. Yeah, we're in a purge. We're in a major purge. We're in a major waterfall right now. This virus is like doing the J-juice, the waterfalls. The excess are going to be eliminated. But it's up to you to define who you want to be. Do you want to be part of the whole where you're into cell regeneration, you're into peace and prosperity and balance, or do you want to take a side and be washed away from the flood? I mean, that's what the flood was in the biblical times, right? This is what this virus is, whether it's man-made, whether it's man-made or not, contrived or not, it doesn't matter. Mother Nature put these people in place to create these viruses to then do this installation upgrade as a forced evolution. That's what's going on. Is a synthetic evolution that really isn't synthetic, because it still came from someone who's made from nature. Bill Gates is made from nature. So are all his microscopes, and so is all of biotech. It's all natural, but it's natural with intention. Okay? And so now you have to prove that you are worthy. You have to prove that you are worthy, that there's no enemy out there. It's just a matter of balance. You know, the cells that are going through, like right now, I'm itching, right, and all this other stuff. And so there's still cells in my body that escaped the purge the last 4 years, but they might not escape this purge. So you might have a few of you that escaped the intentional purge of this New World Order, this next few rounds. But if you don't get your body, mind, and spirit correct with the right chemistry, you may not be able to survive the next round of purges. Whether it's a new entity, a new upgrade, new installation. Okay? And so now we have to understand that rewriting history, or rewriting the future, is rewriting your current thought process right now. And it has to happen right now. Because if it doesn't, guess how many people out there are going to pull you into their history and their future? So many. And I'm telling you, that's why I am the way I am when it comes to private messages. That's why I am the way I am when it comes to all of you that love my information, but you're still working from that for and against, the enemy versus the good versus the evil, all that stuff. There is no good and evil. That is a paradigm. That is a duality. That is a major, major propaganda duality that's in science. It's in politics, religion, and science. Because there's some religion that may seem like jilly juice, but they still believe in the whole duality of good and evil. Satan versus Jesus, or Satan versus Yahweh, or Satan versus Jehovah. It doesn't matter. But there is no good and evil. It's just balance. There's always going to be collateral damage, because you can't possibly take on all this life. When you have a fungal infection, because you have too much fungus, it's not being balanced correctly. When you have a parasitic infection, it's because you haven't kept those parasites at bay, but it's still part of your microbiome. When you have a bacterial infection, it's because you have not balanced your body to balance out the bacteria. That could be called lactic acidosis. There's such thing as too much probiotics too, not offset by salt and other nutrients and water. There's such thing as too many protozoa in your body, too many proteins in your body. When you have so much protein all coagulated into one, then you have tumors because it's not being distributed correctly, evenly. So politics, religion, and science all have that propaganda brainwashing of good versus evil, the enemy versus the non-enemy. And what would happen if it's just about balance with the right chemistry? Okay? So I even have to rewrite my current book now, because I do come from this, good versus evil, Satan versus Jesus, Jehovah, black versus white. And that's where all the racism comes from. Racism is all about pitting good versus evil and your perception of who is good and who is evil. Democrat, Republican, politics, all about pitting one person against the other. What happened to balance? But I'll tell you what, many people don't understand this and will not understand this, and that it will be the collateral damage when these viruses become more aggressive. When the upgrades and the installation becomes more aggressive, the more people are entrenched in their left versus right, in their good versus evil. That's major. The words that you speak will determine your future and your past and your present. If you still come from the good versus evil, you have not learned balance. Life versus death, there's still two absolutes. But what is the intention and the purpose of your body, mind, and spirit? It's to live. Yes, there's collateral damage. There's going to be parasites. They're going to be in the toilet, going into the sewer. They're going to die. I'm so sorry, parasites. Hope you find another host. But my life is more important than your life. And And that's what it is. You can't save everybody. You can't save even the guy down the street. What makes you think you can save that one parasite that's going to be collateral damage when you're doing the waterfalls? Okay? All right. Good luck. Bye.